I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, and I need you to understand that I knew what I was doing the whole time. I followed every single instruction they gave me. My name isn't important. What matters is the work. I'd been doing professional house sitting for 3 years through a placement firm. Trusted Sitter, they called the program. Corporate program, liability waivers, background checks, the whole thing. You show up, you get a key, you get a packet, and you get a rule sheet. I'd done it 11 times before this one. The house was rural. Not dramatically rural, 40 minutes from a decent-sized town, but the kind of property where you can stand on the back porch and not see another light. The owners were a couple, both abroad for 2 weeks, a conference, they said. They were pleasant people. They shook my hand. They showed me the refrigerator and the thermostat and the Wi-Fi password on a laminated card. Then they showed me the panic room. It wasn't dramatic. It was just a room off the main hallway, steel-reinforced door. Looks almost like a utility closet if you don't know what you're looking at. Inside, a cot, a water supply, a phone charging station, and a small touchscreen panel on the wall. The monitoring app linked to it was on my phone before I arrived. The firm pre-installed it. The rule was simple. If the motion lights trip outside and you see anyone you don't recognize, you go in the room and you hit the button. Steel shutters seal every external door and window. The monitoring center dispatches within 30 minutes. You do not open the room until they arrive and confirm clearance. They said there had been a prowler in the area. Said the neighbor, house about a quarter mile east, had seen someone at the tree line twice in the past month. The neighbor had already called in tips. The firm took it seriously. They took it very seriously. I thanked them. I signed the supplemental form about the panic protocol. I carried my bag inside and stood in the kitchen and listened to them drive away. The first day was nothing. Quiet house, good light. I made coffee and read and walked the property in the afternoon. The second night, the motion lights tripped at 11:47. I was already awake. I'd heard something, I thought, but I couldn't have told you what. I picked up my phone and checked the exterior feed. There was a figure at the tree line, just standing there. Not moving, not advancing. The camera was good enough that I could see the shape clearly. Person-shaped. Not doing anything. My thumb was already on the app. I hit the button. The steel shutters came down on every window, one after another. You could hear it, a sequence of solid mechanical sounds moving through the house. The door sealed behind me automatically when I stepped into the room. The touchscreen read, "System arming." Then it sat on confirming. For a long time. I remember thinking that was a network delay. Rural property, maybe the signal was slow. The panel eventually switched to system secured. I sat on the cot. I waited. No one called. No one came. After an hour, the panel showed all clear, and the shutters retracted. I went back to bed. I didn't think about the confirming pause until later. I should have thought about it then. I didn't. The next day was a Wednesday. I remember that because the grocery delivery was scheduled. I'd ordered ahead. The driver pulled up at 11 in the morning, and I watched him on the door feed as he lifted the gate latch. And then I saw 2 men come around the side of the house in matching company polos. They were calm. That's what I keep coming back to. They walked toward the driver at a completely normal pace, and they said something to him. The feed doesn't have audio at the front walk. And then they walked him back around the side of the house and out of frame. I called the firm's number. The woman who answered said that was standard. They did regular security sweeps of the property. She said not to be concerned. She said the driver would be rerouted and my groceries would be redelivered in the afternoon. They were. I unpacked them and I put them in the refrigerator, and I stood in the kitchen for a moment, and I thought, that was fine. That was the firm doing their job. I believed that. The next 3 nights were quiet. The motion lights didn't trip. I told myself the patrols were working. On the 6th day, I went into the panic room in the afternoon to check the water supply. The owners had asked me to confirm the date stamps on the bottles once during the stay. The room was clean, everything in order. The cot, the panel, the water. Then I looked at the inner handle of the door. The metal around it was scratched. Not from impact, from something digging at it over and over from the inside. Like someone had spent a long time trying to work the mechanism from within. The scratches went all the way through the finish and into the bare steel underneath. I ran my finger across them and my hand stopped moving. I called the monitoring line and I asked about it, and the operator said, without any hesitation, without looking anything up, that it was storm damage. Said the previous winter the pressure differentials from a bad system had caused movement in the door frame. I asked how pressure differential scratches the inside of a handle. She said she'd have a technician look at it, and she thanked me for the report. I sat on the cot for a while after I hung up. The thing about a panic room is that it's designed to make you feel safer when you're in it. That's the whole point. The cot and the water supply and the solid door, those things are supposed to mean something. I sat there and I looked at the scratches and I felt the opposite of safe. And that was wrong. That was the wrong way to feel. And I told myself it was just the image of them that was bothering me. I left. I did not go back in that day. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in the main bedroom and I listened to the house, and I thought about the scratches, and I thought about the delivery driver being walked around the side of the house. And I thought about how calm those men were, how completely unbothered. And I got out of bed at 2 a.m. and I walked back to the panic room. I went inside and I looked at the cot. There was something under it. Pushed back against the wall, half covered in old dust. A phone. Not a burner, not a cheap one. The case had initials on it. AM. The battery was dead. I put it in my pocket. I went back to the main bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed with the dead phone in my hand. And I thought about AM. And I thought about what that phone was doing under that cot. And then I thought about the scratches on the handle, and I thought about that phrase, storm damage, and how quickly she'd said it, how completely ready that answer was. I plugged the phone in using my charging cable. The model was close enough that it took. While it charged, I went back to the room and I looked around properly. Really looked. The way you look when you're not trying to reassure yourself anymore. In the corner behind the water bottles, there was a folded piece of paper tucked into the gap between the baseboard and the floor. My hands were cold getting it out. The handwriting was small, and the paper was creased from being compressed for a long time. It said, "The panel hasn't responded for 2 days. I don't think they're coming. I don't think they were ever going to. The handle won't move from inside. The button doesn't unlock. It only ever went one way. If you find this, don't go in the room. Whatever they told you about the Prowler, don't go in the room." That's all it said. No name, no date. I folded it back up and put it in my pocket with the phone. And I walked out of the panic room, and I stood in the hallway, and my legs were not working right. And I put my hand on the wall. The front door opened with a key. Footsteps in the entrance. More than one person. I heard a voice, calm, unhurried, reading something off the notes I'd left on the refrigerator. Reading my name off them. Just confirming it, the way you'd confirm an order number. I didn't move. I was in the hallway, and the entrance hall was 8 feet away, and I didn't breathe. I had my phone in my hand. I opened the monitoring app. I didn't hit the button. I looked at the room panel instead. Looked at the status screen through the open door. The touch screen on the wall had changed. It read, "Ready." It was waiting for me to go in. The footsteps moved into the kitchen. Unhurried. Someone opened the refrigerator. I heard them talking to each other, low, not hiding it, not worried about it. And one of them said something about the schedule, and the other one said something back, and I didn't catch the words, but I understood the tone. The tone was professional. The tone was Tuesday afternoon office conversation. That's when it landed. The prowler was never real. The neighbor's tips, the supplemental form, the protocol. It was conditioning. Get the occupant trained to seal themselves inside a room that locks from outside, with a button that doesn't unlock anything, in a house that goes quiet for 2 weeks. The confirming delay wasn't a network issue. That was the crew arming the outer locks while I sat in the room and believed I was safe. The delivery driver. The men in the polos walking him around the side. The scratches on the handle. The note. AM and whoever left that note had both gone into that room and waited for help that wasn't coming. I was inventory. That's what I was. Scheduled occupant. 2-week window. And whatever came after the 2 weeks, I was not going to be around to know about. I moved. There's a back hallway off the kitchen. I'd walked it on the first day. It branches. One branch goes to the back exit, shuttered now, steel panel sealed. The other branch, I'd noticed on my walkthrough, goes down 3 steps into what used to be a basement utility area. The original house was older than the security build-out. Coal delivery access, the owners had mentioned it when they showed me around, said they sealed it up when they redid the heating. They sealed it, but they didn't network it. I got to the utility door before either of them cleared the kitchen. I went down the 3 steps and I pulled the door shut behind me, and I found the hatch in the floor by feel. Low light, 1 small window, but enough. The hatch had a manual bolt, heavy, corroded. I worked it. They heard me. I heard one of them say something sharp. The tone changed completely. Professional gone. Something harder underneath it. And footsteps came fast down the back hallway. I got the bolt to move on the second pull. My hand was braced wrong, and when the bolt gave, the edge of the hatch caught 3 fingers on my right hand. And I felt them go, and I didn't stop. I went through the hatch, and I came up on the other side into cold air and mud, and I ran. I'm in a car. Someone stopped. I was on the road, bleeding, and someone stopped. They called emergency services, and I told them not to stop moving yet. Keep driving. Just keep going. And they did. My right hand is wrapped in their jacket. I can't close it. I don't think I'm going to be able to close it again. I have 2 phones. Mine and the one with the initials on it. AM. The phone charged enough on my cable that it turned on. There are messages on it, a lot of them, going back 8 months. The last outgoing message is to a number saved as home, and it says, "Arrived safely, love you, talk soon." It was sent the first night of a 2-week sitting job. There are no messages after that. The delivery driver. I watched them walk him out of frame. I watched it happen, and I called, and I accepted the explanation, and I went back to unpacking groceries. That's what I did. I can't prove any of it. I know that already. The house is going to be clean by morning. They had a schedule. They worked to a schedule. I know that from how they talked. And the room is going to be reset, and there's going to be a new listing on the placement board, and a new name on the packet by the refrigerator. The panic button doesn't summon help. It tells them you're ready. It tells them you've done the work for them. Locked yourself in, sealed yourself away from the road and from anyone who might see something, behind soundproofing and steel. One directional. The lock is one directional and they hold the other end. I know how it works now. I'm going to tell them everything. In this car, while I still can. Until it exists somewhere outside my own head. And then I don't know what comes after that. But I made it out. And the room didn't get to have me. That's the only thing I know for certain right now.